Welcome everybody to Rob's MetalWorks. We are here this evening at the Rob's MetalWorks headquarters to welcome really a legendary band, a revered band here in San Antonio. Brings you great pleasure to welcome back after quite some time the Lopez brothers, Michael and Carlos of the band DEADPOOL. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us, sir.
Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys. Lots of exciting things to talk about with DEADPOOL right now. First and foremost, though, I think people know, and I said revered and legendary, and I think most people would kind of attribute that to the fact that you guys have just really upheld a certain level of quality and consistency in the metal scene. You guys have been around since 1998, so like next year will be a 20-year birthday for the band DEADPOOL. Talk a little bit about that. Not many bands in this town can say that they've had that long of a career. How do you feel about that?
It's pretty cool to say that we've been around for this long and seen so many other bands in the local scene come and go. I don't know if surprising is the right word, but I guess it's a testament to who we are as individuals. Yeah. And we love what we do. We love the scene, obviously, because we're still here. And so what we'll do next year, if anything, to celebrate that, I couldn't tell you. We don't really have anything planned. But it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling because I know it's difficult. And so to persevere through that and get through all those difficulties when it comes to not only forming a band but keeping it together without replacing a single member, yeah, is I guess a pretty cool accomplishment.
I think that's even the bigger accomplishment, keeping the same lineup, because there's bands out there that just have one original member, they keep the name. You guys have all four original members, and I have to ask you, because I said that the Lopez brothers, how much of an impact has the fact that you have your sibling in the band played to that longevity?
I think that has a lot to do with it, in the sense there's like a chemistry between us, so that helps us with as far as the songwriting process, stuff like that, and just an understanding and patience within each other. There's kind of a kinship amongst all of us in the band, which is why we've been able to keep it together, just because we're patient with one another. So that's how we've pretty much been able to do it.
And even if you quit the band, Michael, you can't get away from him. He's your brother.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I see him at all the family functions.
And so let's now talk about what we're really here to talk about, really your brand new CD that will come out later, in fact, this week. The release party is on August 19th, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But the webs we weave will be hitting the streets. Your previous release, Idle Hands, came out in 2007, so it's really been many years. Why did fans and the San Antonio scene have to wait so long for the new disc?
Several reasons. The actual recording process for the new album started years ago, believe it or not, and so up to that point, it took us a while to write new material that could be accounted to writer's block amongst the band, amongst each member of the band, for whatever reason. And then once we got to the point where, okay, we had all the tunes written and we're ready to start recording, like I said, that process started several years ago. And then for several reasons, schedules, because we all lead busy lives, getting into the studio, it just added on to that, I guess, that gap or that span that since the last album. So yeah, it has been actually on the 18th of August will be 10 years to the day that we released Idle Hands.
Wow.
So because we wanted to do the release for this one on a Saturday, obviously the 18th falls on a Friday, so it'll be 10 years in a day.
Wow.
That we released Idle Hands, and so I couldn't pinpoint one reason or a couple of reasons as to why it took us so long. It just happened to take so long, and so many things have transpired since then, amongst each one of us as individuals, on our personal levels. So that plays a big part in it too.
Life gets in the way, you know.
Yeah. Let's, you mentioned a couple of relevant things there, Carlos. One is that, you talked about maybe some of the challenges you were facing with the writing process. And correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of heard like a little rumor that you had kind of started as a guitar player and kind of gone to a 7-string guitar, and that kind of helped with some of the writing process too, huh?
It sure did. That was the primary reason for me switching to a 7-string guitar, in hopes that it would help my writer's block, because I will admit that I did have writer's block and I just couldn't come up with new music. I could come up with riffs, but nothing that we felt was up to our standard. And so I figured one day, I said, I'm going to switch to 7-string. A lot of the newer music at the time that was coming out were a lot of 7-string stuff, a lot of 7-string guitar players out there, primarily Jeff Loomis. I'm not ashamed to say that. He was the primary reason why I started. It planted the bug in my head, and so I went ahead and got the 7-string. And sure enough, what happened was I had to take a new approach to an instrument that I had been playing for almost 20 years, which I thought I had mastered. And that challenge in itself was very exciting, and that excitement allowed me to just overcome my writer's block. And so the majority, not all, but the majority of the new album, The Webs We Weave, is all written on 7-string guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this right out, that I think this is the best work that you guys have ever done. And thank you guys for sending me the CD a few weeks back. I've been jamming out to it. And definitely I love it. But what I really am digging about this are a few things, and I'll first talk about the songs themselves. They just seem to be a lot more in depth and complex. I'm hearing things on this CD that I've never heard before, like Crosses is a very kind of melodramatic tune, and Gordon's doing things with his vocals that I've never heard him do before. The 10-minute epic that you end the CD out with too. As writers, why are these songs coming out so much more kind of like Deadpool 2.0 now than what we've kind of seen in the past? What would you most attribute that to?
I think attributed most would be, it's probably just we're a lot more mature now. It's a maturation process, the band, and with that, our writing has become a bit more fine-tuned, a bit more. Like he was saying, there's other riffs that we've had that we just it didn't work, wasn't good, but like this one was a little more thought out of, I guess.
And Mike, would you kind of also say too? I mean, I've always appreciated your bass playing. You feel like you're better at your instrument than you've been?
A lot better, actually. I'm like 10 years better than I was. I feel. I mean, it's just you just get used to it, and there's just certain things that you get as you keep playing and practicing and practice it. Practice makes you better. So.
Webs We Weave, you people will soon find out, has 10 tracks on it, and Webs We Weave actually is a title track. It's a very blistering, heavy track, very fast-paced track, really very stereotypical to me of what we can expect from Deadpool. Why did you pick that track for the title track?
Honestly, the name for that track came after we had already come up with the title for the CD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so up to that point, the track was written, the track was actually recorded, lyrics, music, everything was done, and we still couldn't come up with a good title for that track. So then when actually Gordon is is the one who came up with the title "Webs We Weave," and it just stuck with all of us, and so that's what we wound up going with. And once we once we had the reason why we chose that title, went back, and lyrical content of that particular song just kind of fit. And so I approached Gordon about it, and I said, "Hey, what would you think if we titled that song "Webs We Weave," because the lyrics fit." And he loved the idea, and that's how it came to be.
I thought it was like, yeah, you know, the webs we weave. We kind of can see all the webs we weave when you're in your 40s, and we can see all the mistakes we make.
Yeah, that's the entire concept of the song. That's the entire concept of the song, and the concept of the title of the CD. It's like, you know, our actions affect a lot of people. We don't realize it, but sometimes it does, and unfortunately we make mistakes, and those mistakes may affect a lot of people around us, and that's what the whole title is about. And then it just so happened that song, that's what that's the meaning of that song. So we went with it.
Also, you know, I mentioned and I alluded to the 10-minute track "Walk With Me." When I first heard that track too, I was like, oh my God, this is like a really epic song. And you know, even though I was listening to it, it didn't sound like it was a 10-minute track. It didn't seem like 10 minutes had passed by. Really cool track, really captures the audience. Talk a little bit about that, because have you guys ever written a song that long? And how did it really kind of progress to be that big epic track?
It's actually a very, you know, a real dark song. Well, the entire CD is pretty dark. That's another story as to why. But that particular song, lyrical content, I even wrote all the lyrics, and it's what it deals with is addiction, whatever the addiction may be in someone's life, but how addiction takes over your life and starts to control you as opposed to you controlling it. And that's what the entire song's about. It just, because of lyrical content, I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. So once you hear it, you might hear that it does kind of repeat itself a lot. But the good thing, and I've heard this from several people whom have already heard the track as well, is that they don't feel like 10 minutes has gone by. And that's cool. And in my opinion, I thought that's a great compliment.
Yeah, because the song never gets boring.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And so, and there's a middle section that gets a little moody, and there's reasons for that as well. I added all that just to give the song and the music a different feeling, just like a real darkness. I wanted the music to portray what the lyrics were saying, and so it did. The guys agreed to, you know, keep going for 10 minutes. And the trick is whether, yeah.
Will you play that song live? You think maybe it's not necessarily at the release party, but in the future?
We will, and hopefully it goes over well. You know, that's one thing. You know, it may not go over well live because it's so long.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll get, after a few times, we'll see what the crowd response may be, and we'll see if we'll continue to play it in the future. And
Carlos, you know, I know you're really a humble guy, but I also have to, you know, comment and share with our viewers that there was also some really great solo work on this CD. I really love the solo on Crosses. Just amazing shredding. I know you hate that word, but I'll use it anyway, just for all you people out there. Great solo work. Also, you know, we can't leave talking about some of these tracks without mentioning the cover track, Painted Black, the Rolling Stone cover. I've seen you guys play that song before, but when I heard the recording of it, it just like blew me away. Why is that song, you know, why did you guys choose that song? You guys could have written kind of or covered any other song, but really that song came out so cool the way y'all did it.
We just did it because we needed a 10th track. On that. No, actually, it was for some reason, I don't know why that.
But you guys have done other cover tracks. I've seen you do other cover tracks, and so you guys could have picked from a little repertoire, but you guys chose that one.
I'm not sure why. I guess just because it's fun to play. It's a classic song, and I have no idea why we chose that particular song.
It goes with a dark theme too.
It does. Yeah.
And Gordon's vocals on that song are just amazing.
I think more it's just because it's fun to play for us. So we're just like, well, why not put it on the album? So that's so we can play it during the set too. But we always play it anyway. Still.
Let's talk about, we also have to talk about just how great this record sounds. And I think that was one of the things that I was most impressed with, because, you can have great songs, but if they're not recorded right, then they're going to come out for crap. I was kind of privy to see some of the videos that you guys have released so far about recording at Hollywood studios. Talk a little bit about the recording process for this one. Obviously, it seems like you guys were doing new things, or just kind of kicked it up to a whole new level.
We did, and that was as a result of working with Mac Damon, who wound up producing the record. He runs Hollywood Studios, and this is the first metal project that he's ever done. So I guess I don't want to say he wanted to do it right, because everything that he does, the amount of time and effort he put into this album is what he does for all of his projects, no matter the genre. But I don't know. I would love to say that he put in a little extra for this one, only because it was his first metal project ever, according to him. And so as a result of that, he actually it worked out for all four of us, because he wound up pushing us a little more, getting out of us a little more than we thought we had. And his idea was, I don't want to say perfection, because we'll never reach perfection, but he wanted to get a solid sounding record to go along with the songs, because he really liked the songs. He had to listen to our older stuff before he even took on the project. Right. And once he heard because he had never heard our stuff, and once he did, he figured this is a pretty good band, which in itself was another compliment. And so that's when he decided to go ahead and take on the project. And he just, like I said, he just pushed us a little more than we have before. That's not a knock on previous guys with whom we've worked, but he took a different approach, I guess, because of the fact that he had never worked with metal. He took a different approach to each instrument, and it worked out.
That's what I was about to say after you finished, was that, bringing someone who's not from the metal circles, who is kind of had a previous band on the show, and kind of mentioned that some metal producers might cookie cutter production, metal bands, because that's all they do. So obviously having someone like Mac, bringing in kind of like a new perspective to recording a metal record, because he's not from that circle, really paid huge dividends.
It did. And so it was the outcome, in our opinion, is fabulous, and hopefully all your viewers will agree.
Well, let's hope Mac Damon didn't cost too much, because we don't want to wait another 10 years for another Deadpool CD. Let's talk about, finally, let's talk about what's coming up later this week. The band will have their CD release party at Fitzgerald's on August 19th. Everyone out there, please save the date. If you are a metal fan here in San Antonio, you have to be out there to support the Deadpool CD release party. Michael, tell us a little bit about what fans can expect when they go out that night.
Well, that night we'll have it's a good lineup, actually. We have Black Molly opening up. Then we'll have some good friends of ours under No One. And then we'll play, and then actually closing out the show will be Wall of Soap.
So fans can arrive at the gig. You guys will obviously have the CD for sale there. In what kind of formats will you have it there?
We'll have it in obviously CD format, and then we will be selling download cards for digital download. So by that time, it'll be available on all your digital download sites, whatever you may use.
Just as a fan, I'm curious: will the digital download be cost the same as the actual physical copy?
It will. Okay. Yeah, it will. You'll be able to go online and get it for $10. So it'll cost you the same for anybody who may not be able to make the show, or for anybody who may not. Believe it or not, nobody really want. Yeah, nobody. A lot of the younger generation, I guess.
They don't want to store CDs like here in the middle.
CDs, so they'd rather just download it and put it on their put it on their devices, and that's cool too. And then also, you're not restricted to buying the entire CD. You can just download a song if you want, which a lot of people do nowadays as well, which is great. And then we're planning on hopefully putting it on vinyl, which is another story. And then we'll have T-shirts and koozies. So we'll have the full gamut of new merchandise.
Cool. I can't wait. I want my Deadpool koozie. Tell Gordon to take them. So as far as the show is concerned, though, will you guys be playing a lot of the new disc or kind of mixing it up? What can we expect from there?
I think the majority of it will be all new stuff. Cool. So far, we haven't really worked out the set yet.
What? The show's this weekend?
Yeah, well, we've been working on the new record, but we're not gonna play like every single song on the album, and we might throw some older ones in there just because people are familiar with them. But for the most part, it's gonna be all new stuff.
I want to elaborate a little bit about what you said, Carlos, and talk about the vinyl that possibly can be made available to all you people out there who love vinyl. I always was a big fan of vinyl. I just like the big picture and the artwork, and I was never a fan of like putting the record on. I wanted to get it on so quickly. But you guys have started a campaign for I Want My Vinyl. Talk a little bit about that. The status of that, because people out there can still kind of order it online, and then if the band reaches the goal of orders, then everybody will get a copy of the Deadpool vinyl, which would be a kind of a pretty exclusive thing. And one of the things that when I went online and ordered mine, I saw that that was also really cool is that it's like a 2-gate fold vinyl. It's not just a 1 sleeve, it's a 2-sleeve vinyl. So that's really, really cool. More artwork and stuff like that. So talk a little bit about that, Mike. Where can people kind of go and kind of order their vinyl?
I think it's iwantmyvinyl.com/Deadpool. And I think we need to order at least close to 300, and then we'll get it produced. So everybody go online, and it's only $25. Go online and buy them, please. We need to meet our quota.
Cool. Is that something you always want to do? Is because you hear about people wanting vinyl?
It's something that we've talked about for years now. Obviously, because Gordon, people who know Gordon, Gordon is the actual vinyl guy in town. And so it's something that we've always thrown around over the last 10+ years.
There's been no other Deadpool release on vinyl, has there?
No, never has. It's always been discussed, but because it's so expensive, and it would just in order for us to do it, it wouldn't make sense because we wouldn't necessarily sell the amount of copies that we would need in order to make our money back, to recoup our expenses. And so nowadays, for some reason, a lot of people know that vinyl's made a huge resurgence, and so Gordon is actually spearheaded this entire campaign, where he found a guy who is the owner of iwantmyvinyl.com, and they worked out a deal, and the guy is willing to put the new album on vinyl, and like you said, double vinyl, and it's double vinyl only because of the length. Because we're looking at almost an hour's worth of music, and so it has to be double vinyl in order to get that sonic clarity that people would like nowadays in their vinyl. So it's a very nice package, but it only becomes reality if we get 300 units sold. Right. So you can go to, like Mike said, You can go to iwantmyvinyl.com/Deadpool. Order yours. You know, order 10 of them, please. They're just $25.
Yep.
And as a bonus for whomever orders it, we'll throw in the free CD. We'll give you the CD free.
Oh, cool.
And so hopefully we can hit our goal. Unfortunately, this is like an all or nothing goal. You know, so we have to sell the 300 units in order for this thing to get made.
Right.
And we're getting there. And another good thing is that there's no time limit. So
Oh, cool.
it could be
It'll eventually happen.
It'll
eventually happen. We talked about, you know, the release party going on the 19th. So your new music will be out. You'll do this show. What would you like to do for the fall? Because it's right around the corner. One of the things I've always kind of loved about Deadpool too is that, you know, when you guys play San Antonio, it's not like I can say, oh, I just saw them last week either. You guys don't overplay. I really appreciate that. But do you guys have any goals or ideas about wanting to play outside of San Antonio, or does that even you know, entertain you know, conversations within the Deadpool camp at this point?
Actually, yes, we're playing. We're having a CD release show in Austin,
Oh, cool.
September 2nd, right? September 2nd at Texas Miss with I forgot all the bands, but
Yeah, cool.
so as far as that, we're
Blackthorn
the-
Halo.
Blackthorn Halo's playing. That's right. We'll have one in Austin, but as far as that, we don't have anything out of town like that's set yet. But we do have something in the works, like towards the fall.
Okay, great. Now let's talk about all these other good things that are happening on the back end for the band. One is Carlos, that I heard that you guys recently got a kind of like a really cool endorsement with a clothing company called Dirtbag Clothing. Many people out there are familiar with Dirtbag. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it hasn't been officially announced, I guess, until right now.
Nice.
But we have been graciously invited to become part of what they call the Dirtbag family, and it's a clothing line that's as the name says, it's, you know, stereotypical dirt bags that kind of listen to metal, but although we know that not be true, but that's the stereotype. So Dirtbag Clothing out of San Diego, California. They've been in business for about 20 years now, and they cater to the metalhead with their clothing lines. And so the cool thing is we will make a formal announcement about that pretty soon. And with that, what we'll do is we'll be able to offer our friends, our fans, whatever, we'll be able to offer them discounts on any clothing line or any clothing that they might like from Dirtbag. So go to dirtbagclothing.com, you know, peruse the website. You might see something like they deal in t-shirts and caps and you name it. And
a lot of rock people wear their clothing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's not like they're
not just on local level. We're talking
national level.
international
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
And so to be welcomed into their family is actually something that's very cool. So hopefully it'll work out for us, and we'll be able to get our friends involved. So.
You place a small order, I wear a double X, just in case. Let's also talk about, Carlos, you know, I know you're a really humble guy. You don't like to talk about, you know, your guitar playing, but really you've kind of garnished a lot of respect in our scene for your playing. And also you were recently recognized by Kurt Mangan Strings too. So I definitely want to talk about that. Share a little bit about your personalized custom string set coming out from Kurt Mangan Strings.
Yeah, Kurt Mangan Strings is something that came about through my endorsement with Halo Guitars, which I had several years ago.
Yep.
And Halo Guitars hooked me up with the actual Kurt Mangan. That is his name. Sweet individual who's been in the string making business virtually his entire life. and so he's got his own string making company called Kurt Mangan Strings. And so again, he was gracious enough to welcome us being Mike and I, into his string family. And so what he does for us is he makes specialized, or not specialized, I should say, more of a custom pack of strings for me and for Mike. So he's obviously guitar strings for me, bass strings for Mike, and it's something honestly that we've had for several years now. We've just never made it public until now. So and then with as a result of me switching to 7-string, he actually he and I worked together and made a custom DEADPOOL 7-string pack that people can buy as well. You can go out on Kurt Mangan Strings, or I believe it's kurtmangan.com, and you can actually buy a 7-string pack that's custom made to my liking.
This is it has all your gauges too.
It's got all my gauges.
All the gauges that Carlos personally uses.
And the DEADPOOL logo.
The DEADPOOL logo on there. Has the Carlos Lopez name on the back.
Yep.
Kurt Mangan Strings. Really, really freaking cool, man. That's really freaking cool.
It was exciting. I have to admit, it was. And so hopefully, it's a great string. I don't just say that because they put my name on their package. It honestly is a great string. That's the only reason I use it, and I think Mike would attest to that.
So, guys, as we get to the near end of this interview, there's just a few kind of other points that I want to talk about. One is, obviously we live in a YouTube era. Video is very important. I know that you guys will be releasing some videos. They've kind of already done some of the, like the studio video that I mentioned earlier. But will we be seeing some kind of music videos and things like that?
Maybe we might do well, we have a music video for Rise. That's our first video, but after the fact, I'm not sure yet. We do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Deadpool Society. Deadpool Society, so go check it out. But as far as an actual video for the song, we don't have anything lined up as of yet, but it's kind of been the idea's been discussed, but nothing concrete yet.
I know you guys have had a long-standing relationship with Cinerreal Imaging. Jamal, we love you, man. We miss you. Where are you? And he's been very supportive. That guy's very professional. I know he always goes out and shoots. I can just imagine how much Deadpool footage he has. I'm sure he has bukus. So hopefully, Jamal can put something together. I'd love to see some video from you guys. Hopefully,
it is like Mike said. It is in the works or in the talks of doing videos for other songs. The first video that we put out for the song Rise was more of a studio footage that he shot during the recording process, but an actual video, I guess, setting and stuff. That's something that we've discussed, and hopefully we can work something out with Jamal. He's getting real busy, which is a great thing, which was his whole plan. He started out working with us, and as a result, because of his great work, other bands have commissioned him to do things for them as well, and it's fabulous. And to see him grow over the last several years is very how can I say? I guess satisfying. Yeah. And he loves it as well. He loves it, and it's branched him off to do other, to help with other things as well. So, but to get back to your question, a music video.
Yeah. Even if it's just the performance thing.
I think that will be in the works.
Guys, as we end out, obviously we talked about your longevity here in San Antonio, and it only seems prudent to ask you about how you feel about what's happening in our music scene. You guys have been part of it for a long time. Carlos, you mentioned that we've seen bands and promoters and clubs come and go, and luckily, people like us, we've stuck around and have been part of it through the thick and the thin, man, because it's been thin. It was thin for a while, and then it kind of seems like it's getting thick again. But now we have all these young whippersnappers coming up. So things change, music tastes change. The way that business is conducted has changed a little bit too. Obviously, the way that people promo and market has changed. How do you guys feel about what's happening in San Antonio? Is that something that you're happy about, or is that something that you feel is become more challenging?
That's a good question. I never really thought about it. I mean, I think it's pretty much been consistent throughout the years. There is a lot of support out there, and as far as the business side of it, it's pretty much been for us anyway. It's been the same. Like, not bad, but not great. But we haven't really ran into many problems or anything like that.
Well, obviously the huge difference is social media. That's changed things unbelievably. We made mention to the fact that it's been 10 years since our last release, and that when it comes to promoting and planning to promote this new CD, our thought process has had to change so much over the last 10 years, strictly due to the fact of social media. Social media has played such a huge factor in what we do and how we do it, that in one sense it's good, and it's a double-edged sword, because it's diminished a lot of the legwork, and by legwork I mean like literal legwork.
Yeah, you have to go out to the parking lot and put all the flyers on the cars.
Exactly, but as I was saying, that's a double-edged sword, because now, too many people are depending upon that and not going out and shaking people's hands.
Yeah.
And meeting people and saying, hey, I'm in a band, my name is so and so, this is my band, we're gonna play at such a place at such and such a time, I would appreciate if you come out and watch this. A lot of people aren't doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
And depending so much upon the social media thing and their friends spreading that word, that it could hinder them. But we'll see. We'll see if the bands that are around nowadays are around 10 years from now.
And you bring up a really good point, and I kind of mentioned the younger people, people right now who are in their 20s, kind of like the third generation of metal fans here in San Antonio. And obviously, reaching out to some of these younger fans is important to you. And it seems kind of like these younger kids, that's just the only way they know how to do it.
That is, and it's not a knock on them. It's just they're just products of their environment.
Yeah.
And so let's see how it works out. It may work out for the better. One great thing though is that I'm able to as a musician, and I think all musicians can attest to this, I'm able to upload my song onto social media, and somebody halfway across the world is going to listen to it. 20 years ago, that wasn't possible unless I actually mailed something to somebody, halfway across the world. And in that sense, it's fabulous, and it's helped a lot of us continue to persevere and do what we do. So it's got its good points and it's got its bad points. But speaking on a local level, then to depend on it too much can become a hindrance, and so hopefully they'll understand that. An individual as a fan, I think, appreciates more the fact that you come up to them and shake their hand face to face than you sending them a message on social media that your band's gonna play. And so hopefully they'll see that, and so we'll see.
Cool. Great insight and advice there, guys. As we end out, we've had a long conversation. I feel like we could go much longer, but let's go ahead and end out. Any last words for your fans, for people maybe who are coming on to Deadpool, people around the world who will see this interview?
No. Thank you to all the fans for supporting us, and be out there August 19th at Fitzgerald's CD release party.
Carlos, any last words?
Exactly what Mike just said. It's incredible the amount of support that we've received over the last almost 20 years now. It's incredible. The only reason that we're still doing this is because of you, because of our fans, because of our friends. So hopefully this new product will make you proud to be part of what we call the Deadpool Society. And I'm going to venture to say that it will. So please come out August 19th. And if you can't make it on the 19th, we do have shows planned throughout the rest of the year. So come out, enjoy yourself, let us put a smile on your face, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you hear.
I want to thank you guys for coming to Rob's MetalWorks this evening to share all about the new release. I'm really stoked about it, and I anticipate that this weekend's release party is going to be nothing but fun and a killer metal time. Remember, everyone out there, the brand new one from the band Webs We Weave comes out on Saturday, August 19th. Go out there to the show, pick one up. Stay if you can for the performance, but definitely support this band. You saw Carlos and Michael Lopez from the band Deadpool, only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.